Oh, no. Now the knee. Well, that was it. Manu, what's he done there? He's sold the dummy with a knee injury. It's a fake knee injury. That is set up and thrown for Boborovsky.
It's the next tackle. He gets an offload. He goes back against the football. Probably feels a cramp coming on in the back of his calf. And then just takes off.
Oh, what a beauty. So, you pick which has been the better moment. The bloke kicking the ball back from the traffic at the southern end, or Manu, the cramp, the fibber, and takes off to set up a try.
Welcome back, ladies and gents, to another episode of the Supercoach Tragics podcast. Round 3 preview up and running. Just the two legends tonight, just myself and Glenn, mate. How was your week, mate?
Yeah, it was an interesting week. I didn't score too well. I got 997, so I got par. But I'm so happy with my team. Like I was just saying to you before we come on, my whole bench is scoring really well. I'm about to make a stack of money, and all the players that people are bringing in, I already own them. So I mean that, right result. What is it? Wrong result. Right team, wrong result so far going forward. But I'm pretty happy with my side.
Yeah, well, I find it happens all the time. Like the guys that actually do really well, come top 1,000, top 100, win it. They're normally starting off around the 50 upwards to 100,000 at the start of the season. They just, it's around 8 when you start realizing, when you start getting a bit closer, and it's people who do build that cash generation that actually do start building that lead towards round 8.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, myself, I got a 999. Not much difference to you, mate. Pretty much the same thing. My captain let me down there. I got unfortunately, I did the Ponga captain again 2 weeks in a row. But in the first week, he wasn't the worst captain, because there was a lot more worse captains out there. But this week, unfortunately, he was. So, but
what did he score?
Oh, it was like a 45 in the end. So he's averaging about 47 so far at the start of the season.
I think he outscored my captain. I had Turbo.
Yeah.
But I own Ponga as well, so.
Yeah, well, at least with Ponga, he's consistent. He's getting around the 45 to 50 mark every week. And Turbo, he doesn't know what he wants to do. He wants to get 100. He wants to he gets a bit lower in 36 or whatever he got. So, but,
interesting. We'll talk about it when we get to the teams. But how you were talking about how Ponga wasn't seeing ball, I feel like DCE does that a bit to Turbo as well.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, I think but I think you'll find that DCE, a lot of his, Turbo, a lot of his runs that he does when he comes through the middle there, through the ruck.
Yeah.
And that's when it's like a little set play. And it just didn't happen last week. Week 1, it happened a lot, and it was really good and interesting to watch. But all right, yeah, let's get crack-a-lack, and we'll start with the team list, guys. So game 1 Thursday night, grand final rematch. It's probably going to be a bit of a disappointment compared to all the players that are out now. So, but Panthers taking on the Broncos. Panthers pretty close to a full-strength side, minus JFH. Targo, let's talk about Targo. That was a cracker of a score last week.
A crack of a player. I mean, that whole back line for the Panthers are incredible players. I thought Taruva was really good too. Remember I said to you at 500k, I think he's a beautiful little pod. And but yeah, Targo and May in those centres, and the way the Panthers play, I mean, his base alone, Targo, is worth owning. If you're looking for a player, I mean, Targo is definitely one to go for.
Yeah. And one player as well, who's kind of going under the radar a little bit, is Taylor May. He's his base is so high. I think he got another 50 this weekend. He got 60 the week before. Just consistent in that centre position. Personally, I'm looking for. I've got some consistent players in my centre wing. I want to get some more upside, but I think May has the upside. He just hasn't shown it. It's been 2 games, so it could be interesting play in the future as well. Not too highly priced as well. So.
Do you own May?
No, I don't know. I got a few mates that own him, and not unhappy with him. He's pretty good.
Yeah, I've got him in RTS. I was almost tempted to upgrade RTS to Mulatalo this week. But I'm not. I'm going to keep RTS. I've got RTS, May and Turbo in my back line, and then I just make the difference up with that Tipanua, Salmon, or who was the other one? From the Raiders. Strange.
Strange, yeah. Strange for the Raiders, yeah. So what do you reckon? Cleary had a bit of a comeback a bit last week, played a little bit better. A lot of people selling him. Obviously got a decent price drop probably coming. I think his break even is very, very low, very, very high.
I recommend every single person in Supercoach sell Cleary and Hines and do it now. Get rid of them. Duds.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, overrated. Haven't you read all the social
Overrated.
media posts? Cleary, I can't even win an Origin. So, nah, I love Cleary. This week I think Cleary is if he wasn't playing game one, he'd be a very, very, very solid captain choice this week. I think against the Broncos.
Absolutely, and I think even as a VC option, I think, or if you want to take a bit of risk, just put a straight C on him. I think against the Broncos, he's going to be up for this game. They're missing Haas, they're missing Adam Reynolds. There's another one too, I think. No, that looks like it, but they're definitely missing Haas. Haas out 4 to 6 weeks now, and Adam Reynolds out as well, which is the bigger one for me. People keep thinking Haas is the bigger one. He's not. The kicking game of Reynolds is what kept them alive, is what keeps them in, because they strangle you, the Panthers, as you know. And the Broncos' kicking game is what keeps them alive. And I think they're going to really struggle this week.
I think I know they're both playing together, but I think Carrigan is really, really good at doing that same thing that Haas does with those really solid hit ups and the go forward there. It's more. I think Jock Madden, just if he had a bit more NRL experience, he'd probably be okay and he'd feel a bit better. But because he has the skill, that's just the NRL experience. I think he's probably that's what they're gonna lack in the halves there. But I think Madden's not a bad player. Just needs to a bit more time in the NRL, and he'd be pretty decent option to replace
absolutely.
him. Very similar style to A-Ray, game controller. But yeah, so I think they are going to struggle very. There you go.
Oh, Walsh has been averaging, 86.6 is he? He's doing pretty well. I mean, he's had some fortuitous runs, but...
Yeah, I was tempted to literally bring him in this week instead of the one I am bringing in, but just because he's got the goal kicking as well, but that's only a temporary fix, but he is looking good.
Yeah.
If he wasn't playing Penrith at home this week, potentially would have been my decision maker, but I think Panthers haven't been playing the best, but one thing they have been doing okay is defending. Their attack has been all over the shop, but their defense has been pretty good. That game against the Storm, they couldn't attack. They wouldn't be able to get through a wet paper bag, but they were defending still very well. But I think their attack kind of showed a little bit of growth last week, a bit more. I think, and it happens every year with Penrith. When everyone's like, "Oh, they lost the World Club Challenge," and then they and then they're not going to win. Not going to be a 4-peat. Lost the first game, which they did last year as well. But it's just because we keep getting cold with some major key players in our team, and then we have to rebuild and remesh our team and our structure. So, and it doesn't take long for them to do it. So
I think where the Penrith have lost a bit this year is the bench. What makes the good teams stand out, in my opinion, like the Broncos, the Panthers, the Roosters, Manly, are their benches. And that's where they've lost a lot of, they've lost a fair bit off the bench. And the Broncos as well, really. Not so much the bench, but they've lost 2 key players as well in Herbie Farnsworth and can't think of his name, the second rower.
Yeah. Capewell.
Capewell, yeah.
Yeah, and also another one that was actually pretty handy on the bench with Flegler as well. Another really good one that was lost as well. More go forward there for the Broncos too. But
yeah, Flegler. Yeah.
Yeah. Having a look, Sorensen, I like the idea of waiting a little bit to watch him because he's not getting that. Once he gets going, he's going to lose a bit of money first. He might be a good little pickup when he bottoms out.
Yeah,
know
absolutely.
What he can do, but I like the idea of watching Sorensen very closely. I will say that one player that really did, I thought, really well last week, and I'm not sure. Actually, I should probably know this, but how long Fisher Harris is out. But Lindsay Smith stood up in his stead when he went off the field and looked really good. He's now starting. Yeah.
Yeah, very good player.
Yeah, so I'm not sure. I have to probably do some Googling and check the news on how long James Fisher Harris is out, but it wasn't the best news. I think it might be a little bit of a bit of time.
That. I actually know the answer and I can't gather it. I actually just watched NRL 360, but I'm just literally talking about it.
It could be an option there. I'm holding on to Farmer Sully Paulo or whatever his name is from the Bulldogs. Might be a good little sneaky swap over next week potentially because he wouldn't get that much of a price rise. So.
Yep.
All right, let's look at the Broncos. We kind of touched on them before, but Reece Walsh looking good, looking very good. He's getting very involved as he always does. I think he's definitely an option if you want to. Even this week, I think he can make that. Panthers, they can leak. They're probably about, I'd say, around the 40-meter line when they're defending. They're really good defending their line. They're on the 40-meter line when Ezra Mam and Walsh go that one side. they can leak a fair bit, and Walsh can get some good points from that. Your thoughts?
Well, you touched on it before, right? The fact that Adam Reynolds is out means that Walsh will be a pivotal part on that left-hand side, right? He'll come up and play off Ezra Mann on that left-hand side, so I expect Walsh to get more involved, as well as he's going to goal kick. He's a pivotal part of everything that they do. So, I mean, you can't go wrong with Walsh. The only problem a lot of us steer away from Walsh early specifically is because of his base, but his attack, his plus attack, it makes up for it. So, he's averaging 86. If I could be wrong, someone can correct me, but I'm sure it's around that figure. And
even if you are wrong, it's not by much, mate. It's very, very close.
Yeah. I'll tell you the one that I liked. The next one in line was Jesse Arthurs, mate. I thought Jesse Arthurs is looking really good as well. I was worried about his job security. I had Jesse Arthurs in my side before the year started out, and then I didn't think he was going to get the spot. And then I'd already revisited other options and didn't come back to him, but I kind of regret that.
Yeah, I was holding off on him too because I thought he was kind of a boring style player, like in the past,
Yeah.
watched him just from history. But no, he's literally doing some. He's getting good ball on that edge and getting some decent tries. Well, do you reckon A-Ray being out will affect that a little bit?
Yeah, I do. I think that the left-hand side will see more ball. I think that Ezra Mann will be the dominant half, and I think that Walsh will play down that side as well. So I expect the left-hand side to see more.
Yeah, one player that we haven't touched on here. No one's really talking about him, but I don't even own him, but I own him in fantasy as a little because in fantasy you're trying to play around a little bit and experiment. And that's Cobbo. His scores in fantasy. I haven't even looked at his scores in Supercoach, but his scores in fantasy are amazing. It's very hard when you play fantasy, get in that center position because you don't have center wings, you have centers, and then you have wingers. And centers are really hard to get decent scores out
to get it right. And in fantasy, it's more about run meters, and there's other, it's more around the base stats kind of stuff. So I like Cobbo. He passed the eye test. So does Staggs. They both defend really well as well. I mean, Cobbo's a dangerous ball runner, and so is Staggs. I mean, they're a good football side.
Yeah, I can say, they lost that first game, and he got 53 points.
Right.
Which is a pretty solid score there. And then last week's match is out of 93. Very impressive.
Yeah, right. Well, there you go.
So I think one to look out for. His break even's 25. So if you want to get on, he's going to go up in price this week, more than likely. But I like him as a sneaky pod because no one's talking about him at all. So.
Yeah, I do too. I don't like him for this particular matchup. The Panthers defend centre wings really well and halves. But having said that, I do like him going forward. I think Cobbo is an interesting prospect, mate, as a pod.
Yeah. Moving to the forward for the Broncos, we've got a bit of a higher break even at the moment, but I think after this week it'll be good because his round one will drop out, and that's Piakura. I think if you got him, definitely hold. He's not going massive with he scored 48 last week and didn't really do much, but he has some decent upside to him if he gets that footwork at the line there. So I think once round one drops out after this week, he's going to start going up in price quite nicely. Thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I like Piakura. He passed the eye test. I still prefer him on the right, but Ricky plays right. But having said that, I think a lot of their attack will go left this week, so could be good for Piakura. And he does defend in the middle, which I like.
Yeah, definitely. And last thing of note really in this game, unless you have anything else, is obviously Haas being ruled out for 4 to 6 weeks, needing surgery, it looks like. We have the TP that's been on the edge for a long time popping into the team there, and that's Xavier Willison. Got some time to watch him.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know if he's going to be worth getting in for 4 to 6 weeks. I don't know what your thoughts there.
Yeah, I don't know. Sorry, you lost me for a second. Who are we talking about?
Xavier Willison.
Yeah, I wouldn't be doing it. I mean, I'd at least watch for his role. He hasn't played any games yet, so you can watch him for a couple of games. If in 2 games, round 3, it looks like he's going to make some coin, it may well be worth it. I mean, we have enough in that position now to not really worry, but I mean, if you are one of those people that owns one of those on the bench that are really ugly, Wilson could be an interesting prospect. I would like to see what minutes he gets. We know what he can do in his output and his motor. We just don't know what minutes, and that's going to matter.
Yeah, and if he's got 4 to 6 weeks to prove himself, it'd be really good. He might even jag that bench spot moving forward too. So keep an eye on him.
Absolutely.
Awesome. All right, game 2, Warriors up against the Raiders. Honestly, it's been a bit of a fairy tale for the Raiders. They've got this young team that hasn't really, no one had any hopes for them at all, and they've come out and they've done some pretty good things. However, I think their run ends this week in New Zealand. Thoughts here, Glenn?
Yeah, New Zealand will win this game, in my opinion. I think that they play a very similar game, up the middle kind of sort of game. But yeah, I think I like Taiten Tuapaki, the fullback. I haven't played him in the first 2 rounds, and he scored well in both games, which are tough matchups. Penrith Storm, is that right? And he still scored really well. So, I mean, in this matchup, I actually like him as a sneaky VC option or RCS. Yeah.
Yeah, I played the Sharks in the first week. Sorry, not Penrith.
Sharks, yeah. I knew it was a tougher matchup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
both
weird,
good
like,
defending sides.
it's weird to see the Warriors. They're actually 0-2, yet they actually look pretty good still. They gave it to the Storm last week, and it was really good to watch.
Yeah.
So
I like what I saw. Round 1, the first half was almost perfect.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah, they look really good. Alrighty, we've got RTS. Obviously, some of the point to talk about here. Got a decent low break even there. I think it's very low double digits. I'm pretty sure after his first average week. I reckon he's just taken some time to get going, and I reckon he'll be a great one. You could probably have him as like backup 4th, 5th centre wing, probably in the run home. I reckon for a very long time. I'd be safe having him.
Yeah, I think RTS will get up to 600, 650, even 700 at some point, and then we'll probably move him on at the back end of the season for the Guns. But I agree with you. I mean, RTS is someone who gives his best every week, and he's active, and his base is really good for a centre wing.
Yeah, definitely. One little point I've not talk about from last week. Obviously, Luke Metcalf took the kicking there for a little bit there. So I'm not sure of any word on SJ not kicking there, but Luke Metcalf did a decent job last 2 weeks. He's one of the most traded in this week.
Yeah. And look, I earmarked him 2 weeks ago. And it gives me shades of last year when I told you to buy Aiden Fanua-Blake, and I was going to buy him, and I didn't. You didn't. He went on a running try. It's the same with Metcalf. I recommended him 2 weeks ago, and I was going to start him last season, and then, as you know, something happened and he didn't start the year out. I'm a huge fan of Luke Metcalf. I liked him when he was at the Sharks. I've always thought he was a good player, a good complement player, a running back, running 5'8".
Yeah, I will say that I actually had Metcalf in my team before you mentioned him, so I'll take that one as well. I'm learning on my own. But
I still own Aiden Fanua-Blake.
Yeah, nice. Speaking of AFB, looking pretty good still. A lot of people looking to trade out Haas. I think this is a good option, Glenn.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I even looked at bringing him in myself this week. I have the money where I could turn Flegler to him, but I'm not doing that. I thought I'll get May, keep Flegler on the bench, and get making me money. Just makes sense.
Yeah, see, I think we've got to earn that right to get those points. So I think,
that's right, absolutely.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
All right. I just realised my background was starting to annoy me a little bit, so I was flickering in the background. So I better fix that background there. All good.
Oh, you were doing a whole Pink Floyd thing there, mate. Going a bit of In the Wall.
That's it. Alrighty. So obviously last week, there was a few people on him, I guess. Egan, not very many, but Freddie Lussick jumped in to replace him. What are your thoughts?
I wouldn't be touching Egan.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Egan. He comes from my hometown. He's a friend of my family's. He's actually a family friend. He's from Lithgow. So I have a lot of love for Wade Egan, but not as a super coach prospect. I think that he can earn you the points. I just think that he's had more injuries than any other player, more HIAs than any other player, 7 last year alone in HIA. So he just finds his way into an injury every game.
That's it. Another good game from Tohu Harris as well. Pretty good minutes there. So
yeah, Tohu's. I mean, we've always known Tohu. I mean, he was a mainstay in our sides when he was available at centre wing, and he'll be someone we'll work towards at some point through the season, especially through the buys. Everyone will have Tohu at some point.
Yeah, definitely.
And Ford looked good too, and Barnett.
Yeah, they looked pretty good last week. I just unfortunate for them not to get the win, but it's always tough going to Melbourne against Melbourne as well. So
absolutely at home.
It looks like we've got another player back. A lot of people would have sold after round 1, and that's Raiders. Nick Kotrick's back.
Yeah, I was just literally looking at that and thinking, I know so many people owned him round 1, sold him round 2, and there he is round 3. You know, it's an ever-changing game, man, and you know, like I mean, I wouldn't have bought him from the start. We always knew that risk was there. I wasn't sure which one dropped out of Savage and Kotrick, but I was pretty sure that Kotrick was more likely than not. But he's back again, and yeah, I mean, he's a play as well.
He's definitely an avoid though. If you got him, you play him, but if you don't have him, you'd avoid that like the plague. So.
Remember when he was a tackle-based beast?
Oh, what? Yeah, that's what happened. He was always he bust more tackles than any other centre wing in the world. It was ridiculous, and now he's just
he was incredible one year, and then he just stopped.
I think the thing is, and this happens quite a lot, it's psychological. You get so many injuries over time, but eventually you start holding back a little bit, and that's what the issue is. I reckon with Kotrick there, you get so many injuries, the poor bugger. So
yeah.
All right, and player to talk about with the lowest break even looked pretty good last week. Xavier Savage, speaking of the devil, is he a target for anyone this week, you reckon?
Well, I mean, I like Savage, you know what I mean? He can find the try line, he's good. What's his price? I've forgotten.
Yeah, probably should get that up, shouldn't I? I think he's around 350 from memory. So
yeah, well, I don't hate that trade at all. I mean, if you're looking to trade down, I mean, there's other options around that price point, but I don't mind Savage. I think he's a pod. I think the Raiders are playing good enough football, and they are playing to their edges better this year. He's on Fogarty's side, right? So
the left-hand side there, yeah. So the problem there is the problem that I have, and this is what a lot of people will be the same boat, is I've got really no one I can spare, I guess. Like, for example, I wasn't really impressed with Labour. I wasn't really impressed with Labour last week, but he's still got the low break even. I'm not going to waste that trade until he gets his pay rise. So it's hard to, if you haven't got him, it's really hard to find that right one to bring in, unless you've had a failed mid-ranger. But if you've got a failed mid-ranger with a high break even, jump on him. I reckon that's a good little option there for you. Yeah. And no point really talking about this guy, but he's got a pretty damn good break even at the moment, and he looked a lot better last week. And it was Ethan Strange looked a lot more impressive last week.
He looked incredible, and I'm so fucking annoyed. I'm so annoyed. I was actually playing Ethan Strange, and I left Jamin Salmon on the field, and I got caught up over the weekend, and I didn't have time to change anything around. And which is, I usually set my team up before the round with every player on the field, and this week I didn't even have time to do that. I just didn't. And but anyway, I'm annoyed by it. I ended up playing Salmon over him. And it's the second week he sat on my bench alongside another player that's scoring well. I can't even remember who that is, but
too big.
Strange, Tatiki, the Kiwi.
All righty, and let's talk about the big news in this game. Ricky has done it again. The guy with the lowest break even, -56, has been benched. But we all had that fear it was going to happen. We all know what Ricky was going to do. There's no way he was going to bench Whiten, the captain of the Raiders.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to bring him in this week. I'm trying to remember who the second rower that got injured last week is that we're all replacing.
A lot of people are replacing Wong because he's out.
No, it's not Wong. I can't even remember who I replaced from last week. They got injured and they're not back this week. And I've been thinking about it the whole show, trying to remember who this player is. And I like to go and do my reverse trades to remember who it is. I might remember when I get up to the side. He only played a certain amount of minutes last week and got injured. Can someone in our audience tell me, please, so I can concentrate on what I'm doing?
Probably should get the comments up anyway, because the comments aren't even up at the moment. So.
Oh yeah, but yeah, it's annoying because I mean, the good thing is that we're worried that we still don't know what's going to happen with Smithies going forward.
It was Lukey.
Yeah, thank you, Lukey. Did someone write it?
Yeah.
Thank you. Love you guys. Lukey, yeah, because I swapped Lukey this week to Firma, and I'm starting to think maybe I should swap him to Ronaldo.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll get to there.
Awesome.
Yeah, so Whitehead's back.
Yeah, so Whitehead's back. Do you recommend people still jumping on Hoskins? I know I'm not, but what do you reckon?
No. I mean, look, there's a chance that you could get him and just leave him on the bench to make money. He will make you money, but we don't know what minutes he's going to get coming off the bench. I mean, he does have a -56, I think it was, break even from memory. So he will make you coin. He's only got to step on the field to make you 25K, pretty much. So, I mean, I was bringing him in this week. That's what I was doing. I was going Lukey to him, and then when I said he was an 8, I was like, oh, well, that's not a thing. I'm not doing that anymore.
That's the thing as well. You got to look. It's game 2. if you really want to, you can save that boost ready to go. If any switches happen, because this is one thing that I always get that FOMO, because every year there's that one guy that no one jumps on because they should be bringing someone back, and it was like Talakai as an example. We all
Yeah.
thought Tracy was coming back, and then we had I think it was Nico Hines when he replaced Pappenhausen when he was injured, and I was like, oh, do I do it? He's coming back, and he never came back, and then I just kept missing out, and this is why I'm getting that same kind of vibe right now from Hoskins, but I don't think it's going to hurt me as much.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think he'll hurt you points-wise. He'll definitely make money. And from that perspective, he could do well. And where it could hurt you is if an injury happens and he gets a starting spot again, you'd have to pay up for him to get him. So, I mean, you know, Whitehead's got a history, and so's Young Young's got a history of the judiciary, and Whitehead's got a history of injury. So there is a chance that a second row spot comes back up. But I'd like to see. Personally, I'm not buying him, and I recommend not to. That's my recommendation. Don't do it.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
Yeah.
And last but not least in this game, probably talking about the Raiders way too much. I'm not a big fan of the Raiders, but Levi. People got Levi. There's other options out there. This is why I've heard this question quite a lot. Do you sell Levi with a low break even to Lussick?
Yeah, absolutely. And the fact that Lussick's playing 80 minutes possibly this week with no bench hooker, but I'm pretty sure that's what I looked at.
You're 100% right. No bench hooker. Hands in the 18th or 19th man.
Yeah, well, there you go. So, I mean, I started Lussick, I started Flanagan, I've done so well with who I've got. I haven't played any of them, but I've got them. And, you know, so I have been playing, I played Lussick last week actually, but yeah, I would do it. Levi to Lussick. I mean, I'm not a fan of Levi. I've never have been a fan of Levi. He scored 2 tries in 2 rounds, and I'm still not impressed. You know, like, I mean, Lussick, to be fair, has had a try and a try assist, but he's at least in the game for 80. I think Parramatta have more options than Levi does.
I think the output you get from Lussick is better. It's more impressive. But if he doesn't score a try, you're almost guaranteed 40 to 45 points.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's why I feel safer having that option there. When Grant's out, I can now keep Grant on my bench and not have to worry about trading him out because I can feel safe having Lussick there. So
yeah, absolutely.
I would not have that same feeling with Danny Levi. So
no.
All right, game 3. Let's get through it. Roosters up against the Rabbitohs. Tedesco, good option this week for those trading out Ponga.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I'm umming and ahhing myself on Teddy. The pros for Teddy versus Pappenhausen, he plays every game up until the bye, but he won't play round 13. Pappenhausen misses one, but does play round 13. I don't think Pappenhausen makes Origin. So, I mean, I can't say for certain, but I would more say unlikely than likely, whereas Teddy will. But I think Teddy, I mean, I was going to start the season with Turbo and Teddy, and my reasonings behind it were base. I thought that both of them would base really well. And the only other one I considered in that was Latrell for the goal kicking. And I ended up going with Ponga after I saw how fit he looked. And I'm so annoyed I did. I wish I went Teddy over Ponga.
And a lot of us in that same boat at the moment too.
Yeah, right.
Let's move on to the forwards. It's not really too much because a lot of centre wings there that are probably not really options just yet. They're good options, but they're good options probably down the track. Let's have a look at the forwards. Can you see May doing the last minute switch again back onto the field to Hargraves at the bench again?
I can. Yeah, I can. I mean, Gerard Hargraves likely starts at some point. But whether it's this week or not, I don't know. But I still don't think that even off the bench, May will still play the same minutes. He will still get, I mean, the minutes he's been getting prior to this week, it's gone. He got a few more this week, but I still think he'll get enough minutes to warrant ownership and the price rise he'll get from that.
And that is PPM. If he's getting 45 to 50 minutes, he's getting enough points. What do you get? 50 points in the first half.
Like, yeah, that's right.
Last week. It's so good.
Yeah. He played big minutes, though.
Yeah, he did, yeah. Let's have a look at the second row. The Schmozzle that's in here. I didn't have Wong. I went Tupanua instead. But Tupanua holds his spot there. Can you see a last minute switch here?
No. I think that, I mean, unless Angus comes in. I mean, the fact that Angus is now in that 18's concern for Skilly and Butcher. I think Butcher will play through the middle. There's a chance that Angus could find his way there.
My theory is he likes to have that one edge player that can play in the middle, and I think Butcher has gone on to replace Wong, and I think
Yeah,
Angus has gone on to replace Butcher, and I think
yeah,
and that's why I think it's happened. So I don't see any difference with Tupanua's output. It's going to be a
yeah,
60-minute game. He gets again. I'm
yeah.
going to keep him for 1 or 2 because he's in the right spots. He still has a chance to attack, but I'm not rushing to get him out. But definitely, I'm not overly impressed with the minutes he is getting, but I'm hoping that he can start getting some more.
I actually sold Satilli last week to Lane. I just wasn't impressed with him at all. But yeah, I mean, he'll still make you money at his price point. Right? So I mean, he's not a rush out to sell, but I wouldn't be rushing in to get him in either.
No, definitely not. No, if I'd be avoiding him to get him in. I
Yeah,
wouldn't. He's closer to a sell than he is a bring in. So, but
yeah, that's right.
I can see no changes to Tupanua's minutes in this game. I just think they've moved out Wong and replaced him with Angus essentially. So I think there's going to be the same kind of rotation.
Well, it's an interesting bench for Terrell May too. I mean, with Connor Watson on the bench, I mean, does he come through at 9? I think he does. Brandon Smith won't play 80 minutes. So he'll probably come on at 9, which means Angus could come in through lock 13 or come into second row and Butcher move to lock. And then that leaves the 2 others coming in through the front row spot. So Hargraves doesn't play big minutes. Collins does. I mean, Hargraves can play big minutes, but Collins is the one.
Yeah, no, I think we'll see another big game from Terrell May, and I think we'll
Yeah.
see the same again, 60 minutes from Tupanua. But we don't know what he's doing. He could be trying to ease him in to get back to full strength, more minutes. But at the moment, I'm just going off what history's telling me, and it looks like Tupanua's getting 60.
Yeah, I imagine that he will get 80 as the season progresses. I mean, this coach does particularly like his second rowers playing 80 minutes and his 9. He's more fragile with the 9 than he is the second rowers. But, I mean, what an abundance of talent they have there. Stilly Tupanua, Angus, Negan Butcher, Nat Butcher, White. I mean, they've got so many incredible players on their bench. Yeah, they should, only have that 18 and the rest should come to the Tigers. We'll take Angus. We'll take a few of them.
Tigers only like to buy outside backs, mate. That's all you guys like to buy. So.
Yeah, that's right. We want to have flashy backs. We don't have forwards. We don't go forward.
Nah. Awesome. All right, let's move on to the Rabbitohs. We've got the Latrell Mitchell at fullback. I think we're getting lucky, owners, and I'm one of them with his scores. I think the Rabbitohs are not clicking at all. I think he's just doing some individual stuff to get some points. He was on bugger all, did 2 plays, and got to 80 points in 2 plays.
Yeah, you were very lucky, owners, that last try, because up until then he was looking very sketchy.
Yeah, 100%. So I'm keeping him this week because I've been lucky to get 2 decent scores out of him. But I will probably look at I'll probably lean into my plan of trades a bit later. But what I want to do with Latrell, Jack Whiten back in the side. Gagai nowhere to be seen, which was just no surprise after last week. So I don't even know if Gagai makes it back even over Origin. I think he might need to be one of those guys you bugger off because there's just so many in abundance there of outside backs.
Yeah, absolutely. And we always kind of knew that going in. I mean, Jack Whiten was always. There was something in my gut that thought that Whiten could come through the middle. And I mean, I'm surprised that they're playing Hawkins over. I mean, the problem is that Jack Whiten's a 5'8" and so is Cody Walker. So you can't really have 2 5'8s in the halves. I wouldn't want either of those leading the show. I actually like Dean Hawkins, but Jack Whiten could be an interesting pod. I really think that in that side, on that left edge, there could be some points for Jack.
Yeah, I think the friendship and the bond that they have with Latrell, Cody Walker, and Whiten, it's going to be take some time, but it might look really impressive when they do mesh.
Absolutely.
I'm yet to see it. They haven't looked good at all. They've looked terrible, and I think they'll be the first to admit it. They've been looking very out of sorts. So, but I do rate Dean Hawkins.
I was just going to say on Cody Walker, I thought he's looked really slow and really bad, actually, and I thought Ilias looked a better player than Walker. I feel that Ilias has been made a scapegoat in this.
Oh, 100%, mate. There's no doubt. I think Cody has I don't know what it is. I think it's just pedigree. His name is there, and Ilias, he's trying. That's what I feel like he's trying, but no one's backing him. And I think and Cody takes things too personally. He gets freaking pretty fired up very quickly, and as soon as he gets fired up, his game's focus is gone. I think there's a level head on Ilias that that they really need to have in that team at the moment. So
Absolutely, and they're just not getting the go forward. And your halves are only as good as your forwards lay the platform for, and they just don't have it. I mean, you look at that: Totola, Mole, Host. You know, I mean, Kalamatangi and Murray I rate, but those three, you know, like, and even the bench. So Billy he's a walking accident. He makes so many errors. I'm a big fan of Tallis, and in Kepi. Yeah, I mean, I just don't like their forward, the punch they have up the middle.
yeah. And well, we could have said them start to mesh because there could be some good Super Coach points coming their way. So, but until that happens, I'll be keeping an eye on them very carefully.
Yeah.
All right, Bulldogs and the Titans playing in Canterbury here, I think. Yeah. So on Saturday we got Willison, another decent showing again. I mentioned him last week. I really like him. Not he was very close to getting another try as well, which would have been very close to a ton up. But you got I think you got 60 odd points again, sitting there pretty good. So, but
He's got a
quite
late
highly
step.
priced. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a late step and he's really quick. He's quick off the mark, and that makes him very elusive. I'm a big fan of Wilson as well, and he's definitely one I looked at. The only reason I didn't was it's the Bulldogs, and because it's the Bulldogs, they get less opportunity to score tries than other sides that have got, you know, the bigger sides. So I tend to look for my backs in the bigger clubs for that reason. But I do like him.
Yeah, no, I like him a lot. But and I think watching his step, he's got one of the best steps in the game at the moment, and that's probably a big take at the moment because there's some guys out there that have really good steps. You got the SJs and the RCSs and stuff, but I think Wilson's up there with one of the best. So,
and he doesn't take a big step. Like when I take a step in rugby league, I've got bloody long legs, so it's like this huge big step. But with him, it's like a little jink, but it's so quick. It's like you watch him when he does the step. It's not like one who steps out really wide. He literally just steps from where he is and then moves across really quickly. His lateral movement is really good.
Yeah, have you tried defending that? It puts you off balance. You instantly put a little bit of weight on the wrong foot, and then he's gone. It happens. It's so hard to defend.
That's exactly right. Once you've been wrong-footed, you're and they get you on the right shoulder, you can't come across. It's just impossible to plant and defend.
Yeah, won't talk too much on their halfback. He's a lot of people started with him. I avoided him, thank God. Not looking very impressive. I didn't think he was like even in the trials, he looks okay, but I didn't think Super Coach wise it would translate, and it hasn't. And I still
never looked at him.
No, I think they should bring in. They need to bring in Sexton. Even what they did in the trials, what I thought was impressive, was Sexton coming on in the end. Even if they had someone like Sexton come on in the end and just get those tired forwards, that would be better for the team. But I still think, perfectly honest, Sexton should be their halfback. And
absolutely.
Very good. He's a very good 14.
And I think that's what will eventually happen. They've got a lot of 14s in that club, you know, with the Currans and the Mans and co. But I do think there's a scenario at some point where he comes in, Sexton, and takes that half spot off Drew. That was one of the reasons. I mean, it wasn't the main reason. I was never touching Drew Hutchison. I've seen him before. He's a plotter. He doesn't do anything of note, Supercoach-wise.
All right, and up in the forwards for the Bulldogs, we've got Jermaine Salmon. He's gone out of my team this week. Spoiler alert for our trade section. Just haven't seen enough from him. I don't think he's worth a starting spot. Do you get my drift? Like, I think that they should be starting someone like Curran instead of him and having. But then they just got all the field full of 14s, and it's just like frustrating because he's not really that impressive.
Well, I think the mindset behind it is that Jaden Salmon offers more as a ball player than Curran, right? So, I mean, and he did show glimpses of that for Penrith and glimpses of that early in the trials where I watched him. And the reason I bought Salmon was when I watched him in the trials, he was that link man between 13-6 and 13-7. And and I saw him get a couple of try assists, line break assists and a try. And I thought, all right, I'll jump on him. But you're right, he's a solid 40 for his defence, but unless he gets some attacking stats with that, you know, personally, he's just a bench player to make money, but I've played him the last 2 weeks over two players that have scored much better than him. So
I think the way Penrith used him a bit more was usually they move him in the middle and then he gets moved to the edge and plays in centre a fair bit. And he was pretty handy around that edge there, where he's a bit more elusive around the smaller players and could potentially get over the line for a few tries. But playing for the middle, he's just not going to get that extra up and go, if you get my drift.
Yeah, absolutely agree.
Yeah. And we've got Sam Hughes on the bench here, very, very solid, been doing some good stuff. Nothing great, but just plotting along nicely for us.
Yeah, he's doing well. And he gets any more minutes, his PPM's good. It's just his minutes, If he gets any extra minutes anywhere through the season, you'll start to see his progress.
Bit disappointed that captain drops a lot. Liam Knight got the ball, got the spot ahead of him. But
yeah,
we may see some more minutes come from Hughes this game. I think just with that having Liam Knight on the field there. So I'm hoping that he gets a bit more minutes there. But yeah, Curtis Moran seems to be the one to get in the extra minutes. I noticed over Hughes.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, he is. Moran is, yeah.
All good. All right, and we get to see the second chances or second glimpse of the Titans here. So still no Fafita, unfortunately, which would be really, that's probably a good thing because I want to start building some cash so I can afford him. So I couldn't quite get to him this week, but I think I found a way to get to him when he does rock up. But yeah, we've got Keeney at the back again, playing fullback there. How far away is like 3 to 4, maybe two more weeks, you reckon, for Campbell and Fafita?
Yeah. I don't know about Fafita. Campbell's a couple of weeks, so I'd have to look. Fafita was round 5. What were round 2? Round 4.
Yeah, they said round 5 before, but then they saw an article recently where they were both doing full contact training, and they were thinking that there's potential. It wasn't like they've told us they'll be back earlier, but it was like they're doing full contact training. There's a chance they can come back a bit earlier, but they may not want to risk it. So.
Yeah.
Cool. Not much to really talk about here. Is one I will say though. Yeah, Firma. Yeah, I was talking about the backs because there's not much there to talk about. But yeah, the forwards, there's a bit of talking about there. We've got Firma. A lot of people jumped off quite early. We've got Kieran Foran back. I'm looking forward to seeing Firma's output. Yourself?
Yeah, well, I'm deciding this week whether I turn Lukey to Firma, who I sold last week, right? Oh, no, I didn't end up doing it. I ended up sending Santilli. No, I did sell. I can't remember why. I didn't own him. I had Santilli, that's right. And I was going to go Firma this week. I'm trying to make my decision, right? Do I go Lukey to Firma or Lukey to Mulatalo? But if I go Firma, I can afford to turn the cheapie on my bench to May.
Yeah, it gives you that extra option in the front row there, which will be handy.
Yeah, 3 front rowers then. But yeah, I said that to people last week. I said with Foran out, Foran has a much better short ball. He has that no look pass as well. He can put Firma into those spots. So people who were judging Firma off the first game, I wouldn't.
Oh yeah, no way. No, I was very much. A lot of people were judging, and then it was like there was a lot of smart people out there in the comment section saying, "Guys, the Foran wasn't there." And it was hoping that or I'm hoping that everyone did sell him, frankly. But I think I reckon that he's going to be much better there with Firma with Foran. Foran's the pass before hit up kind of guy, which I think is what you need to have next to your second row on your team. So
yeah.
Another big one to talk about here, cracking first game, and I think now that Haas is out, Tino, very, very nice option there, nice and juicy to have in your team.
Yeah, Haas to Tino would be my sell. If I owned Haas, that's exactly what I do. You bought Haas in to be a consistent player at a certain score. Tino will give you that. I actually feel Tino offers you a higher upside than Haas. So, yeah, I mean, to either Aiden Fanua-Blake or Tino, I think would be good. I mean, from memory, I think Aiden Fanua-Blake's a bit cheaper, which means that you can probably keep a bit of coin. But, yeah, I'm a big fan of Tino, and I will be getting Tino, Aiden Fanua-Blake at some point of this season.
Yeah, well, Tino was actually the highest priced front rower of this season. It was above Haas. So, if you're going to get him, now's the chance. If you've got Haas, definitely an option to get him. So,
absolutely.
Alrighty, let's have a look at the next game. We've got Dragons versus the Cowboys. Right, Dragons went from grand finalists to wooden spooners in 2 weeks. That was a bit of a shock, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it didn't shock me. I mean, I've never liked the Dragons. I did think, though, that they played a much more tougher game round 1, and in the trials, I thought they looked tougher, more of an edge about them. But last week, it was almost like they thought, oh, well, we won last week pretty comfortably. We can just come out and do it again. And, you know, you don't do the hard work up the middle. You don't make any room for your backs. And that's exactly what happened. They were out infused.
Yeah, definitely. I think, and that's what, like, I've got Ben Hunt in my team, and I think that last week was the kick in the pants they needed to step their game up this week at home. So
Yeah.
I've kept Ben Hunt. Ben Hunt's his break even isn't going to hurt him. He's around the 60 mark, so he's hoping he can score around that. So he won't drop too much money, hopefully. But I like him this week, and this is his last chance because I'm liking the other options. We've got plenty of options now to replace him with cheaper options if I wanted to. So
Absolutely. And I think, I mean, the ones of talk of note in this game, particularly, I mean, Flanagan I've owned since the start. He's going to make you money. So he's somebody. And the thing I like about him is that he plays versus the Tigers the week that Brown's out, which means that, you know, you can put him in versus the Tigers, hopefully get a decent score out of him and for rounds by. The other three of note, obviously, are Tyrone Sloan, who's been finding the try line quite well. He's looked pretty good. Lomax, whose base has increased as a goal kicker. And Luciano Leilua makes his. Is he back this week? Or was he back last week?
yeah,
He's back this week.
he's on the edge there, and Tommy Eisen, who keeps that number 13 spot.
Yeah, which is strange. We didn't expect that.
Oh, well, I'm not expecting that to stay the same. Every single week they do last minute changes in that last hour of the Dragons.
Yeah.
So, but those last minute changes usually been Eisen, who's from second row to 13. So you don't know what happens there, but I'm staying away from Eisen. He's not doing enough to impress me really to warrant getting him in. There's too many other options out there that I think will do some better work with cash generation.
Correct me if I'm wrong. He's available at centre wing, right?
He sure is.
Yeah, well, that's what kind of makes him enticing, I guess, from that perspective. But apart from that, yeah, he's a bit of a plotter. But, I mean, you know, a plotter in your centre wing spot at the moment, they're getting you 45, 50 points. It's a set and forget for now and build around it.
I will say one thing, though. If you do have enough, if you want to try to get a trade and get rid of that enough playing on the bench, Gagai wouldn't be a bad option to go from Gagai to him and get that player generating some cash. So
yeah, that's right. I don't hate that idea at all, actually. It's not a bad idea.
Yeah. All right, and we've got Marshke replacing Little there in the hooker position there. So Little was only HIA, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He'll be back next week. So
next week, yeah, just because of the turnaround.
Yeah. So nothing to look at there really, unless you're dying for a halfback, I guess, in your team for your draft team. Maybe a sneaky little free agent pickup there to fill the gap 1 week. We're really looking forward to seeing how they play now with their team back, but I'm not looking. They are not impressed. I reckon they'll play better this week than they did last week because they'll get that. Like you said, they were complacent last week. And
yeah, absolutely.
The kick in the pants is going to help them out. Let's move on to the Cowboys. Drinkwater, decent option in this game if you got him.
Yeah, he's always a decent option, Drinkwater. He's a pivotal part of their attack. He hasn't looked as good as he can the first 2 games, but I mean, this is a game where he probably could shine.
Yeah, definitely. One player that still scoring really well, but had a shocker for his standards, and that's Valentine Holmes. Dropped the ball so many times. So I think he's putting so much effort in. It's like he's taken up a notch. Like he was like these coaches pulled him aside and said, "We're paying you a lot of money here, mate. You need to step up." And he has stepped up a lot. He's running the hard hits and going pretty well.
Yeah, and he's always been like that, Valentine. He's a bit like RTS. He's one of those competitors, and competitors are the players you want. He's a serious Supercoach option, and if you can afford to own him, or if you do own him, well done to you. I mean, he's somebody that I will have at some point through the season.
Yeah, I'm holding Labour up for 1 more week, but if he has another shocker like he did last week, he's be gone. A couple of options out there for Labour. So let's have a look. We've got Lukey gone and Finafuki, if I get that right, has replaced him there. So yeah. So what are your thoughts there? Is he a good little option to bring in?
Well, I mean, do we know how long Lukey's out?
Yeah, I think it was like 6 to 8. It wasn't a good one. It was a pretty bad injury.
Yeah, well, I don't hate it. I mean, he's a watch for me. You know, you can have a bit of a look-see. I mean, if you got someone on your bench that's an NPR, it could be a trade up, you know. You want all your players on the bench making money, guys. Try and have no NPRs. With the bye rounds around, you should be able to have a player every week anyway out on a bye who you can use if you want to loop. So don't keep NPRs for the sake of looping. That's just insanity.
Yeah, I was going to bring him in, but my thought process there was seeing Jake Krzyzewski on the bench there, coming in there, who is an edge player as well. So
yeah,
I'm not
well
sure
spotted. Manly God.
Yeah. So Goz, he has played an 80-minute role in the past. So I think there's a very depending on what their coaches think. I'm not the coach, obviously, I don't know, but he has played that 80-minute role in the past, and maybe Finafilaki could potentially go back to the bench with Goz and just replace him that way. So
yeah, he's a watch. I just watch for the first 2 games, guys, and if he does play big minutes in those 2 games, jump in. You know, we've got plenty of time. You don't have to get him yet. You know, this week's about money for most people.
100%. All right, now, mate, I'll let you go for this one, mate. Tigers up against the Sharks, mate. What did you like about the Tigers last week, their first game?
Galvin. I thought he played an incredible game of football. I mean, for such a young fella, he really stepped up. He took on the line. He called the plays. Him and Buller were the 2 standouts for that game for us. You know, it was typical Tigers crap again, but I'm tipping him to smash the Sharks this week, like I tipped last week for them to smash. But the interesting talk this week is Caesar in, Sullivan out. And it's the week of the sacking of halves, isn't it? It's the 4th one down.
Yeah, and he had 1 shot, he had 1 game to prove himself. So,
and Olam too. I mean, you look at this side from a defensive standpoint, right? Pole, Bateman, Papali, Clemmer, Coruscant, Stefano, Olam. They're all good defending players.
So the problem is you seem to get your edges, your outside backs seem to not be able to defend very well.
Is.
Yeah, and that's
Charlie Staines and Fartape.
Oh, Staines! Oh my God! Honestly, if I wasn't watching the game 100%, but I could hear it in the background, and I was like, Staines messes up, and I was like, oh, of course he did. like I just hear it quite often. I was like, poor Charlie, the old Datsun 120Y, not the Ferraris. So,
yeah, we keep looking at these players like Tupou and that are good with the ball in hand, but we've got to look at defence. I mean, 50% of the game, or if you're a Tiger, 70% of the game is defence. You know what I mean? And that's where we've got a really good defending middle and really good forwards, and then our outside backs are just all over the place. They're literally staggered in defence. I mean, I'm wondering if Benji or anyone has spent any time with them, showing them back and forth in a line, slide across. They just don't seem to have that. It's a mindset, Dan, and that's what's lacking at the Tigers is the grunt, a grunt worker. Every side should have that grunt in them, like a Hopgood. Can you see a grunt in the Tigers?
I don't know what I can see. His grunt's turned from grunt to angry small man, and that's bloody Bateman. He has that grunt about him, but now he's just a grumpy old man trying to fight everyone.
Yeah, well, that's right. I mean, and I don't rate Bateman as much as everyone else does. I think, again, he's good in attack and he works his heart out all day, but he's a small body. You know, we need a big-bodied grunt working hard in the middle at lock, and we don't have that as the Tigers.
Yeah, that's it. I'll be waiting 1 more week to see how Appy goes.
Yeah.
Essentially, it could be a little swap from Grant to Appy just for that 1 week if I need to. It looked pretty impressive, though. Let's move on to the Sharks. Pick an outside back, any outside back. These guys could have a field day.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, especially Katoa and Mulatalo, even Talakai, Ramian. I agree.
I was looking before, and I was just checking out the players I could bring into my team, and I was like looking at the Sharks, and the average from those Sharks centers and center wings, all the wingers and centers, is around 55 minimum. Like you got, I think that's Ramian. I think you got 60 plus for Talakai, and then obviously I think Katoa was a bit lower because his base is a bit lower, but Ronaldo had his average is almost 100 or over 100 now. So I think these guys, Ronaldo, I'm thinking Ronaldo is the guy I'm going to get this week, just because it's a combination of what you want. You want cash generation and you want points, and I think that's a combination really good there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can get to Mulatalo, But if I do that, I can't get May. I can get I wouldn't be getting Firma as well.
Yeah.
I think Firma and May is my trades, but I really want Mulatalo. It's just sometimes you can't get them all, right?
Yeah, that's it. And there's a lot that I want to get, and I'm not getting either, mate. So there's a lot that I want to get. So,
the one to talk about in this game, the two for mine, are Trindle and Hines. I still stand by my comment that I think Trindle's stealing points off Hines. I said it 5 weeks ago. It was a thing. And in the chats, and everybody shot me down, and I've been saying it every week ever since, and I stand by it. I believe Trindle is stealing points from Hines. However, Hines is one of the most people are selling Hines this week. Are you insane? They're playing the Tigers. His lowest score, what was it, 84 versus the Tigers?
Yeah, so you kind of gone into this. I was gonna do it at the end, but I figured let's just do it now. This week I'm picking my danger man as Nico Hines. If you haven't got Nico Hines in your team, he is so scary this week, especially. So I've got a few stats here that I looked at him. So his last 3 games against the Tigers alone, round 5 in 2022, 117 points. Round 22 in 2022, he got 90 points. And then last year in round 19, 109 points. His average is 98 points against the Tigers. And to me, they haven't shown any different to what they have been the last 2 years. After I know it was one game, but that's what I'm seeing. His lowest score against the Tigers in a 5-game streak is 84. To me, that's captain every day of the week. And I'm looking to see. I think a 5 games average is still pretty solid sample size to see what kind of average you can get. That's a surprise. 98 averages against the team is ridiculous.
But having said that, it's a different Hines this year than what we're seeing. He's playing the right side of the field. Trindle's playing the left side of the field. They're even goal kicking from either side. Like sometimes Trindle's taking the goal kicking off as well. So just be mindful that that's a thing, right? But I do believe versus the Tigers, on the right side, Hines will put Nakora in, not only for a try, but maybe for a double. I've got him for first try scorer as well this week. The other player I want to mention in this team that I'm actually tempted to go Lukey to him, and I have the money to do it, is Teague Wilton. I think he is looking incredible on that edge, and he runs really great lines. He gets the ball quite often in hand, and Trindle's very good at getting it to him. I really like Teague Wilton. Dano, what do you think?
Mate, honestly, when I see Teague Wilton, I kind of put him in the same category as a Bo Firma. Both those guys they're decent, solid base. They can find the try line, and they're both very, very similar. And they get kind of overlooked because you look at the other side, second rower with Firma, you've got Fafita on the other side usually, and with these guys, they've got Nakora. Sharks have got Nakora on the other side. So it's like they get overlooked.
Well, they've got Williams at the moment. Nakora's out for a week, but you're right.
They get overlooked. They get overlooked, these two players, but they do their job on a very regular basis. And they're like to me, it's the equivalent of going, all right, I can't afford Ronaldo, I'll go Katoa this week. It's like saying, you go, I can't afford Nakora, I'm going to go Teague Wilton. And you still have that chance to get that points. Because Sharks are very good when it comes to, they might play all left one week. They play the team. They all attack all left side one week because they've watched the videos all week and they've gone, all right, they got a weak hole in the defense on their right defense. So how
much is Katoa, do you know?
Oh, mate, he was pretty high up. I haven't even looked they haven't even looked at any prices that high for second row for this year. So, but it was around I think it was the high sixes from memory. So.
Hey, and talking about draft, Jack Williams.
Oh, sorry, I was thinking someone else. Sorry, my apologies. I want to correct myself. I was thinking not Katoa. I was thinking of Nakora. So you go.
Yeah, I forgot. Williams could be an interesting pod play for somebody if they wanted to get him in their draft this week. So if you need just a 1 week solution versus the Tigers, who leak on that right second row spot. I mean, Nakora won't be the first try scorer because Nakora's not playing. So scrap that. But so I'm going to put it on Teague Wilton now.
Yeah.
Tigers are relentless at letting in the right second rowers. They just keep doing it. They did it last year as well. And I feel Williams, Nakora would have been a good bet for a first try scorer.
And now that you've asked, I've got the price up. He's $4.93.
Yeah, right. See, I can afford to do that and still get May. I might be able to go. Yeah, I was thinking instead of doing the going left, jink right, you know what I mean? Like, and it actually helped you last year. Remember, I went Mulatalo and you went Katoa. Was that last year or the year before?
The year before, I decided I couldn't afford Ronaldo, so I went
Yeah,
Katoa, and then
and
that was
Katoa
when
went on a
Katoa
little
went on a
run.
streak. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
I loved
you're bloody blessed in that department, mate. Aiden Fanua-Blake, Katoa. I had the money to buy the more expensive one and got less points.
That's it.
It's just
All
how it
right.
rolls, mate. I had a lot of years of good luck, so I can have a couple of bad years.
That's it. Pass the torch, mate. All right, let's move on to the Sunday games. You got Parramatta versus Manly. I'm liking the looks of this game, actually. If Moses gets back to his form, I reckon this will be a close game, especially being at Bank West in the afternoon, where it might be a bit nice and dry because that can be a bit slippery that ground.
Interestingly, I did my tippings this week, and the game I got stuck on was this game, right? I feel like Manly are big improvers, and I think Manly can win this game, so I've gone Manly. But Parramatta are at home. Look, the Parramatta are playing some bloody good football this year, and so are Manly. I feel like these two sides are both on the rise, and I agree with you. This should be a really good game of footy.
100%. A lot of people might be getting excited over a nice little bottom dollar cheapie in this team. Avoid this player because Simonson's only out for a week. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
That's Blaze
Yeah.
Talangi. Yeah, so he'll be playing 1 week just to fill that gap that Simonson's left.
Yeah,
so
it's
the
a
1
cat,
week
mate.
there. Yeah, a lot of people like maybe up and comers, newbies who haven't played before might see a green dot and just go, all right, I better trade. Let's say young Gagai to him. So yeah, avoid that
If
one.
you're new to the game, this week you should be only making trades for two reasons. One, and really the only reason, is for money. It's imperative at the start of the season. It's all about revenue. The only other reason you would be trading this week is to replace like a Haas or someone else, like for like.
And if you get lucky and you find a player like Ronaldo with a very low break even who can score points, it's a trifecta.
Absolutely.
All right, Dylan Brown. Obviously, hasn't been showing the best, but God, his base is solid and he's still scoring solid points. I'm happy I got him.
Who's this?
Dylan Brown.
Oh, yeah, me too. I mean, I was never not owning Brown with that draw.
Oh, yeah.
Lane and Brown together was, but Brown was always, he was the mainstay. He never left my side. He was never not going to. He's got the best base of any 5'8" in the game. He, in a side with good forward momentum, and he has the upside of scoring points. And I thought he looked really good last week. He really did.
Yeah.
It didn't translate into Supercoach points, but the game was good.
Yeah, and that's only as time will come. That try, I haven't got Lane, but that try was beautiful. Beautiful pass straight through. Lane with that beautiful line. It was just that's going to be a common thing you'll see with Brown and Lane, I reckon, this year.
Absolutely, and I mean that's why I got Lane last week. Only reason I didn't start the season with Lane was there was some dubious worries around his minutes, and the other player that I looked at bringing in this week, just for the record, Dan, was Cartwright. Cartwright's at an affordable price, and I had enough to go straight to Cartwright instead of Firma, and I really like what I'm seeing from both them second rowers.
Yeah, he's getting involved. Cartwright often will just stay on his edge, but he seems to be getting involved, coming in, especially close to the line. He comes in the middle and runs that line. But yeah, I wish I could. I'd be on it if I could.
The most important talking point in this one is Joey Lussick. I mean, he has a really low break even. He's going to make a shitload of money. Hands is no longer on the bench, which means he's insured of his minutes, even though he's been getting the minutes anyway. Hands has just been sitting there on his hands. So, yeah, I mean, he's a play. Not only is he an own, he's a play. He's a great backup. So if you don't own Lussick and you're struggling around your set, that spot, I've seen a few people going Grant to Lussick. Yeah, I see people going Grant to Lussick, and I get it because that money enables them to do an upgrade elsewhere, which is fine. I personally wouldn't be making that trade. I'd be keeping Grant and changing your other player, whoever that may well be, to Lussick.
Yeah, but I don't like to use the word very often, but I think he's the closest thing there is to a must-have to buy this.
Absolutely agree. A must-have at the start of the season is a cash builder, and they're playing 80 minutes. That's gold.
Yeah,
and especially if they're in the middle of the field.
Yeah, I won't talk too much on the forwards, even though he's been playing really good, and I'll be definitely striving to get him. And that's Hopgood looking really good there. I have to hold off and get him later. I need to earn that right to get him. So.
Yeah, he's a machine, mate, and he'll be owned. I mean, everyone will be rushing to get Hopgood in.
That's it. Let's move over to Manly. So, can we see a Travojevic return? Because both of the boys, or not say both of them, both the Supercoach relevant boys, They both had a bit of a slide there. Not last week, not the best.
Yeah, Burbo and Turbo were both disappointing last week. I thought that Turbo struggled specifically to get into the game. Burbo tried, but yeah, they just no good ball coming left, and that it just was what it was. I thought Brooks and DCE still played. They played good football, just didn't translate to Supercoach.
I thought Brooksy's points they turned out pretty good, and I'm normally the one that's going to be not. I wouldn't say a hater because I'm not a hater, but I'm normally the one that shuts down the Brooksy talk. But he's looking pretty good. Supercoach points as
I'm
well.
his number one supporter.
That's it. No, I think Brooksy's doing good things. That's what I was saying before about Ben Hunt. There's players I can trade down to, and he's one of them. Even
Yeah,
though I've got 1 week and he's got his low break even this week, I can still afford the trade if I need to. But he could be an option for me depending on what he scores this week. So
yeah, I don't hate that at all. I think that Manly has enough points in him, and I said it as at the start of the year that I think that him on that left edge with Turbo, there will be times where he'll create a gap and Turbo will pick up after it. I like the Brooks shout. I said he'd average 60 over the first 6 rounds, and I dropped it to 55. I don't know what he's averaging, but he wouldn't be too far off it.
no, he's pretty close. He's looking pretty good. I think he's probably above that actually, to be honest. But I will say, watching and even NRL wise, I wasn't overly impressed on round one with him. I didn't think he was that impressive. He was a bit hit and miss.
I
He got
agree with you in the first 20 minutes.
Yeah, and then even when he tried to kick that chip and chase through, he missed it. Blah blah blah. But he looked impressive on the
Yeah,
weekend. He was getting involved. He was running the ball more deep in the line, and actually looked way more impressive NRL wise. I think that first game, even though he didn't have the best game, I think his confidence was built up because of that game, and he played a lot better last week.
absolutely. And it's good to see. I mean, I just want the kid to do well. I really do.
Yeah. A lot of people looking at bringing in Hamole Olokwatu. I think he's a decent option this week, but I think, like I said, I've mentioned it a few times now. I'll be waiting until I can get those big gun second rollers, but he's a good option to have.
Yeah, I like Olakau'atu. I always do. I feel like if you're going to spend up day, there's other options that I like better. But I do like Olakau'atu. He's outside DCE. He's another one, he's a great footballer, big body, and he's very hard to stop close to the line. And they played a lot his right way last week, by the way. There was a lot. He got a lot of ball last week, so it's a good week for him.
Yeah, no, I think he did pretty well.
I don't think people understand. Sorry, Dan, keep going.
There you go.
I don't think people understand that. Like, they think, they gave it to Olakau'atu all game, so that's going to be what they do, and that's not how it plays. Every team each week could deliver left one week, right the next week, because it depends on where they see the deficiencies in the side that they're playing. So you've got to always keep that in your mind, right? Thinking, Olakau'atu got a lot of ball last week, therefore they must be going to be playing to Olakau'atu all the time. That's not how it works. I just wanted to throw that in there, mate.
Yeah, definitely. But I think that I noticed that last week, the first week, it was running through and scoring tries. Last week, I think the opposition team were like, it's going to happen. So they know what's going to happen. They were really planning and they were double teaming him a bit more. That's why he couldn't quite get through. But he still came so close so many times. So, yeah.
He's a big boy.
That's it. All right. Final game of the week. We got the Knights taking on a very, very a much weaker Storm team with no Hughes and no Munster. Thoughts here?
Yeah, well, Kalen Pong is the talking point, isn't he? I mean, everybody started him, myself included. A lot of people are selling him this week because he's going to lose a lot of money. What I will say just on that, with Cogger in the side, I feel he's going to get a lot more cleaner ball than he was getting off Hastings. I really didn't like Hastings for Ponga. However, it is versus Storm this week, so I still don't think he'll score highly. But going forward, I wouldn't. If you own Ponga, don't rush to sell. If you're prepared to cop one bad score this week, going forward, it could pay dividends. I'm personally selling to Pappenhausen. Ryan Pappenhausen is my favourite player in the game, and I was worried about him, but he shut me up last week enough to say, I'm coming back to you, my son.
Yeah. Yes. I am selling Ponga too, so spoiler alert for our trade section. However, I have it's always good to have that road back to him, and I've got that road planned. So Ponga, I almost made Ponga my danger man this week because watching him the last 2 weeks and even last season, you watch Hastings and Gamble, they just want to run that show. Both of them, they're colliding too much. They want to run the show. And then in saying that, you see Ponga run down the left-hand side, and then they just go the other direction because they want to be that one that runs that show. And there were so many opportunities that were missed from Ponga. And now that Hastings is gone, and there's one less person there, I can see Ponga getting a shitload more ball, so his base will go up, which means more chance of attack. And I reckon even in this game, I reckon he can outscore his first 2 games quite comfortably.
Yeah, and I agree with you. Even versus Storm, the Storm are leaking on their edges. They are letting in points, and specifically the fullbacks. Even so, they're missing a few players. I don't hate Ponga. The money enables me to go elsewhere as well, and I think that's the reason a lot of people are doing it. You know, it's all about revenue at the start of the year. And the other big thing to mention here is that Marzu's out. Who's been giving them a lot of those run meters off the back fence, as well as the beautiful lines he runs for Ponga when Ponga's down the other end. So,
yeah. On a similar note, because this is I was in a battle. I'm trying to explain how I was battling with my trade this week, because I went from this fullback to the guy on the other side of the field, and that's Pappenhausen this week. I'm trying to think of how the players out affect their play. And I think I've already mentioned Ponga. Hastings out gives Ponga more ball. Then I look at Pappenhausen. You got Hughes and Munster out. So Harry Grant and Pappenhausen, the two kind of leaders there now, they're going to get more ball. The only reason I decided to go Pappenhausen, there was 2 reasons, and that's why there was more cons to go Ponga than it was Pappenhausen. The massive price difference, with the potential to grow more cash, and the fact that there was actually the same benefits, same pros, with the players being out, the same amount of ball gets given to Pappenhausen. So I see a big score coming from Pappenhausen this week as well.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah.
All right. People bringing in K, Pierce, Paul. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I don't like it. I mean, he's bottom dollar, isn't he?
No, not even, mate. He's 350.
350, is he? Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, I don't like it. I mean, I don't know. He's a watch and see for me. He played his first full one last week, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he got 40 points or something in 8 minutes.
Sure.
The impressive.
He doesn't drift in the middle and defend. He doesn't offer me a lot from a super coach perspective. But look, if you've got him on your bench, he'll make you money, and that's your objective, right?
Yeah, that's it.
The Knights have been disappointing for me.
Yeah, definitely. But I think that they'll do the same thing they did last year and come home strong. But I think that they need to
know. The front row, the forwards in this team don't impress me. Safidi, Thompson, Frizzell, KPP, Elliott. You know, Safidi again, Hetherington. Yeah, I mean, maybe we'll see, mate. I'm not going to write.
I think the most impressive forwards to me the last 2 games was Frizzell and Elliott. And that's saying something. Nothing against Frizzell. He's a very solid player, always has been for quite a long time. But they were the 2 best forwards of the team. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what they need is that big bopper in the middle to be doing that job for them. And it should be the Daniel Safidi, who's had that experience, who's had that time in NRL to be that dominant guy now. What they really need is like what Clemmer was for them.
That's right.
And they haven't got that anymore. So
no.
Let's go talk about that freakish try we saw on the weekend, mate. Honestly, there's been some crackers. How good was that, mate? Like, it was
the Pappenhausen one.
No, it was at the Coates one. The
that was a good try. I mean, I'm not as impressed as everyone else is. I dive like that all the time. Just want to tell you that.
It's not diving, mate. It's falling with style. So isn't that when you do it?
No, it was. It was a good try. I actually thought I was more impressed with the Pappenhausen one through the middle. It was a beautiful ball from Chan. Where it went out and then was it Chan and then back in again. That's a Melbourne Storm play. I was more impressed with that. I mean, the logistics, the poetry motion of Coates was beautiful, but from a pure football perspective, I liked the Pappenhausen try come off Chan. I thought that was really good.
I didn't see how that ball came out. I thought it hit him and then it bounced off him, but he passed it
was so quick.
It was so good.
I was very impressed with that try. That's what I thought you were talking about. Then I realised you're talking about the Coates one. Yeah.
Yeah. No, but I will say one thing as well. On another positive for Pappenhausen here is I find that Pazzet's had a bit of NRL time, and he's kind of built a really solid little partnership with Pappenhausen as well. I find So I think that there could be some little teamwork there, a few little whispers in the play, okay, inside ball so I can run through. So I think
I like Pezet. I actually like what I see from him.
yeah, oh, I love Pez. I think he's a great. Has a few little areas in his game. He's a young fellow. He's got time to work on those. But
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah.
Grant,
Oh,
it's been disappointing for a few owners.
he's been disappointing, but like I'm still glad I got him.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm scared not to have him.
I think we were right. Like I think we said at the start, Robson was the guy going to outscore him at the start because of how it was, and I think in the end, Grant will average more than Robson quite comfortably. But at the moment, at the start, getting that start, Robson's doing a great job. He's doing some amazing work at hooker.
Yeah, I've got Robson and Lussick, and I hummed it hard for ages between Grant and Robson because I know what Grant can do. The ceiling with Grant's much higher. It was just the fact that Robson played every round up to 13 and 13 that made me go there, and I thought straight after the bye I'll swap Robson to Grant.
Yeah. One more thing, really key point here we can look at is Kane Bradley, the bottom door cheapie on the bench there. I wouldn't be holding my breath for very long because you got to think there's a few players that come back in his team very, very soon. I understand Hughes is a halfback, but Hughes comes in, then you got to think that brings Wishart to the bench.
You got Nath, you got Munster, you got a few to come back into this side, mate.
I hope he has a cracking game though, so the coach has no choice but to leave him in the team.
Yeah, absolutely, and he is a good player. Kane Bradley will impress if he gets the minutes. Wouldn't it surprise me to? I'd be interesting to see where he gets played at. We need
he's
Chan
very
to be
versatile.
turning.
He's ridiculously versatile. He's like a
that's
second
right.
row that could be on the wing or center as well. I reckon he'd be good. But in saying that, you got to look at the talent that they have that they can't let in. And Melbourne always had that problem. You got that Largo, that guy that can play fullback, and he's had two amazing games at fullback. So
I'm surprised he hasn't found his way in the side. To be honest, I really like that Falago. When he does get his chance, and same with Howarth, you're going to see something there. Again, a club with great depth. You can leave players like Howarth and Falago out of your side. It shows you the depth you have in that club.
All right, that's pretty much everything for this week. Besides, let's talk about trades, mate. We've already been kind of dribbling on about our trades all throughout the pod. Let's have a look. What trades are you looking at making this week, mate?
So I'm doing 3. So I'll just try and remember. I'm going Lukey to Firma. I'm going that Fume, whatever his name is, the cheap forward on to May. And I forgot who else I brought in. I feel like I got someone else as well. I really need to write this stuff down.
Ponga out, mate. You got Ponga out, mate.
Well, Ponga to Pappenhausen. That's what it was. Thank you. So Ponga to Pappenhausen gives me the money to turn that front rower to May. Gives me 3 front rowers in May, Cotter and Flegler. And then, and then the other one I said Firma. But that could change to Katoa or Mulatalo, the Firma one. I'm not sold on Firma 100%.
Yeah. Yeah, or anything with Firma, you've still got an extra week to wait as well before his price changes as well. So
that's right.
But yeah, so my trade's a little bit different, but not by much. I've gone Ponga, Salmon, and Totola out. Probably hate wasting a trade on a front row this early on, but I feel like May's earned the right to come into my team. And I'm bringing in Pappenhausen, Mulatalo for a bit of a ceiling scorer there against the Tigers and decent cash as well. And Tylen May as well coming into my team. So now I always feel weird having my backup hooker, my backup front rower with an orange dot, but I feel like pretty safe with him there. So
yeah.
Oh, righty, captain, vice captain. What are we looking at?
Well, I've told you I'm captaining Hines. That's it. But the only 2 options I looked at was Pappenhausen as my captain and Cleary vice captain. But I'm actually going to go RTS vice captain or that fullback from the Warriors. I know it's a very strange VC, but I don't have a lot of choices based on my NPRs. And actually, I have Flegler. I forgot about that. Hines is my captain, mate. My captain, Hines.
You know, I like I feel like I'm going to captain Hines myself. At the moment, I've got Hines as my vice captain, but I really hate looping like this early on. Like I'm looking at my bench that's not playing, and to be honest, without that front rower from the Bulldogs, I may actually make the option to loop.
Yeah.
Because I have whereas I got Bostock in my team, so he's my little loop option, and I can always swap him out for Burbo to get the captain loop if I need to, and that way I can captain Pappenhausen if I need to. So I'm liking the VC on Hines and Pappenhausen as captain, but I'm really I'm up against it because I think that I want to captain Hines. So but you never know.
Yeah, well, that's right. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to captain Hines, but I do like Pappenhausen.
Yeah, so I think I feel like I always risk it when it comes to my new tradings. I don't want. I feel like I'm jinxing them if I'm putting pressure on them. So no, you got to be good. You got to be good. Now I'll just put the captain on you, and I'm like, but yeah. So I'm hoping he does good, but I think I may revert back and go Latrell BC into Hines captain. That's my other.
Yeah, I don't mind that shout.
All right.
That'll be a good game, a bit of a grudge match.
I love watching the grudge matches. They're always good to watch.
Yeah.
All right. That pretty much wraps everything up, mate. Unless there's anything else you want to bring up?
No, that's it, guys. I'm going to get going as I always do.
Peace out. Thanks, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you all next week and hope you all see the Green Arrows.
See you guys.